Hello everyone, welcome to Old Ass Movie Review. I'm Dave, that's Scott, and today's movie review is Rogue One. Let me roll my R. Rogue One. Really, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It takes place between Episode 3 and Star Wars A New Hope, which would be the original Star Wars. What did you think, Scott? Tell me what you think, Scott. What do you think?
I will tell you what I think. I dig this movie. I loved it when it came out. This was only my third viewing of it. And
Really?
To me, it's one of them that's getting better the more I watch. I picked up even more little things in there that I found interesting. And I don't, believe it or not, I don't have as much issues with the ending as I used to. And I'll tell you why when we get there. So,
yeah, I still do.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why when we get there.
All right. Before we go in there, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in as we are talking about the Star Wars movies. And thanks for the new listeners because our numbers are tracking upwards. So thank you for coming to see two old guys talk about Star Wars. You know? And
something that we love and a lot of other people love too. Yeah.
We do. And like any fans, we have issues, but we still love the material. So before you get your panties in a wad, we're fans, you know, that's all there is to it.
and know that anything that we've said about any of the other movies we've done so far and the movies that we're going to do, for the most part, except for those last two, I mean, the two coming up,
yeah,
we are huge fans of this universe and the universe that George Lucas
absolutely, and it shows
and made a lot of money doing.
Yeah,
you know, God bless him for it.
Well, that's one of the things that's great about this. My wife Janine hadn't seen Rogue One, she hadn't seen Solo, she hadn't seen the prequel trilogy. Yeah,
really?
Yeah,
very nice.
So this is neat watching somebody see all of this for the first time, and I'm enjoying it as well because we're doing this in chronological order. I think is a great idea because you're seeing everything just tie together and it's working. And it's like you know what's coming next. It's like oh shit. This particular one I think is a very crucial offshoot because, as my wife had said, I always knew they, went and got the plans before and all of that, but I never thought I needed to know that story until now. And it's like, yeah, it's a great story.
They did a good job putting this one together. For all the problems that they had getting this story out there and actually making it, they did it. They somehow magically, I don't know, the movie gods were in alignment that day.
They were.
And they did a good job.
Let me talk about the cast just a little bit. Felicity Jones as Jen Erso. Diego Luna.
That was perfect casting.
Oh, yeah. She's great in it. Diego Luna as Cassian Andor. He played this role really well. I really liked the acting.
Did you really?
His acting.
My least favorite character in this movie.
I don't like the character.
He's my Jar Jar Binks of this movie. I think he was useless. I think they should have killed him off about halfway through.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
No, let's stop right there because I do agree.
Right.
I'm just, as the actor, I think he really brought a conflicted character to life, even though I don't like Cassian at all.
Right.
Especially because he was, duty above all. And I never really felt sympathetic for him.
No.
I never did. Because bottom line, he was going to kill her dad and she knew it. And you know what? It's done now at this point. You've put everything over this. And yes, well, I can understand where you're coming from. It's not, he came across, I don't know. I just think the actor did a good job making this character because I don't know if we were supposed to like Cassian. If we were, somebody fucked up somewhere.
I didn't like towards the end after she finds out her father, that he was going to kill her father, but he didn't.
Yeah.
They start almost having a romantic relationship. It was almost, and I'm like, there's no way. There's I mean, I can forgive a whole lot of crap, especially if I loved my parents and somebody was going to go kill them. I'm going to take that personally, dude. I'm going to take
Absolutely.
that personally.
And
And you might get shot in the back,
So
even if you
let's
didn't kill him.
since we're on that and we just kind of stopped right there on the cast, I do want to let's talk about that ending because it's very true. But first, let me roll back just a little bit. I think we might have already said it, but yeah, this takes place right between episode 3 and episode 4. This literally takes place minutes right before episode 4.
I would think they're getting chased in hyperspace, but yeah, really, really like right before
Right
episode
fucking
4
there.
starts. Right before that ship flies overhead, and they're after the credit rolls.
Yep, it's exactly what it is, because you see the ship leaving. You got Leia, C-3PO, and R2-D2, and it's like, it's coming.
I didn't like the character. And again, like you said, he played the character well. I just think, in my opinion, they overused the character. I think he could have died. I think Cassian's character could have died halfway through, and he could have done it saving Jen Erso.
Yeah, here's where you and I probably agree. I don't think he needed to save Jen at the end.
I was going to save that till the end of the podcast because I have a lot.
We'll talk about the ending when we get there.
Yeah, I have a lot of. Boy,
we'll go into that. So let me roll back to the cast. Alan Tudyk as K2.
Yeah,
oh my god,
he was perfect. He was freaking perfect.
After watching Solo and then watching this, I love K2 and L3 so much.
Right.
Sarcastic robots are fucking awesome.
I wonder why they didn't put him in more of a costume like they did the girl for L3.
I don't know. L3 K2 worked.
Yeah, K2 worked perfectly. Yeah. And it's he's just so good. He was just
so good.
Like, he was the C-3PO, a cooler version of C-3PO.
Yes, because he's given stats.
Yeah.
There's a really high probability she's going to use that gun against you.
Yeah, she's probably. We got about 34% chance we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Shut up. But the guy that they had to play, I think he's a stand-up comedian, isn't he? Alan Tudyk?
No. Remember Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
He's a comedian, so that's perfect. Yeah. Tucker and Dale. Kat and I were both looking at him going, my God, he looks familiar. My God, I know I've seen him. I know Tucker and Dale. I'm such a freaking moron.
Yeah. Well, he looked pretty weird in Tucker and Dale.
He does. He's all beat up. But yeah, that's perfect. Beef. He was such a good character.
K2 is awesome.
K2?
Yeah. I'm going to fuck up some names now, except I can do Donnie Yen, but Chirrut Imwe, I guess. I don't know. Somebody will correct me on that.
That was his
Donnie Yen was a neat addition to this as a follower of the Force. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily a Jedi.
I have a theory on that.
Let's hear it.
I think that he was probably one of the younglings in that particular area. Mm-hmm. He didn't go necessarily to Coruscant. I think he was being trained there as a young boy. And I think whenever the Jedi Order fell, I think he stopped getting taught. There was no more Jedi.
Maybe right.
But he held on to what he knew, what little bit he knew. And he probably didn't know that much at the time, but he just held on to it. And that's what was keeping him going. Because if you notice, whenever he's walking out during the big shoot scene, the stormtrooper firing came right back. Nobody could hit that guy. And they're aiming right at him. And you see the blasts like almost deflecting from him. Like they're missing him.
He was one with the Force.
It was good.
The Force was one with him.
Oh. Really? I'm blind. They put the bag over his head. Really?
Yeah.
I'm blind.
Yeah. But it was good. I don't think we got to see enough of him. I'd really like to see more of that character. But
Kat said it last night. She goes, I want to see a movie with those two and how they got to be friends.
Yes.
And I was like, well, why would you do that? She said, why did you need this movie? I was like, yeah, good point.
Now, let's jump into some Star Wars lore before I go further in the cast, since we're talking about Donnie Yen, who was there at the Kyber Temple on Jeddah.
So good.
When was that temple destroyed? Was that during Order 66?
I would think it was during Order 66.
Okay. All right. So it hasn't been gone that long.
This is the first that I had heard about this particular planet and city and all this, so I don't know anything about it. But I was assuming that maybe the ruins had been there longer, like those really huge Jedi statues that are laying
Oh,
in
I
the
know. That
desert.
was cool to see that in the dirt as they panned out. I was like, oh, fuck, that's a
I'm
Jedi.
thinking those have been laying in the dirt for quite some time, but the
Yeah.
Jedi temple there probably fell during Order 66. I'm assuming, and that's just
I'm
just
assuming
based
because
on
they
this
were
movie.
mining the
Yeah,
kyber crystal for
yeah.
the Death Star,
And they
which
had
is
the kyber
great to see.
crystals that go into the lightsabers.
Yes. Yeah.
hmm Yeah,
And
that's just
Jen
me.
had one around her neck.
Hey, that's my opinion, folks. If you know what happened during Order 66 to this temple, this
Drop us a
Kyber
line.
temple, let us know, because I don't know. I'm thoroughly basing everything that I'm saying on this
Yeah.
one movie, because I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know what happened. This is the first I've ever heard of this movie, or this city was in this
okay.
movie.
Yeah. I thought it was also interesting that where they were at was Jeddah, which sounds a lot like Jedi.
Right. Maybe
Yeah. So it's like,
supposed
okay,
to be-
maybe there's some origin here.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll get that in an Old Republic movie.
How did you like whenever they bumped into Evazan and the Walrus Man in the city street?
It cracked me up so much. It's like, I know they make it out and go to Tatooine.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
That was okay. Donnie Yen's sidekick was Baze Malbus, played by Wen Jiang.
Right.
Sorry, Wen. I know I screwed up your last name.
Another big Chinese actor, evidently.
Oh my God, yes. He and Donnie both.
I watched some of the special stuff, and they talk about Donnie Yen and him being big stars over in China.
Oh yeah.
Which, you know what? God bless him, because man, there's a lot of people to try and satisfy in that country.
Oh yeah, but you know, when it comes to martial arts movies, if you don't know who Donnie Yen is, I don't think you've watched any martial arts movies. I'm just saying.
No, especially not lately.
No. We go on down to Ben Mendelsohn, who played Orson Krennic. I'm not sure who that was.
Krennic.
Yes.
Be careful.
Never mind. He looks so different in this picture. But yeah.
You joke on your aspirations. Darth Vader with the dad joke.
It was great. Here's the thing. For those of you, if you haven't seen Rogue One, you should, because Darth Vader does show up.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And he is a badass. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is a badass. Guy Henry as Governor Tarkin. Of course, couldn't have Peter Cushing, but they CGI'd his face, and it.
Talk about that. You and I were just talking about that right before the show.
Yep.
Well, what did you think about it?
Well, as we said, it's something with the eyes. You can tell it doesn't have a soul. Now, if everybody was animated, Squaresoft or Square Enix has made several Final Fantasy CGI movies, and one of the things that they did, they made a movie called The Spirits Within, has a lot of named actors in it, but their whole thing was they built new computer systems, new programs to try and get it as realistic as possible, and it is a gorgeous movie. But man, you look and while the people look real, you can tell they're not. I would almost rather just hand draw that shit.
It's in the eyes.
The energy. I think there's something that we as humans can see that you can't draw. It's more like the Force.
Definitely. And 2D animation works better on some stuff. Now, in this situation, you couldn't do it 2D, of course, unless you were doing a 2D cartoon. Like
he's cell shaded, Grand Moff Tarkin there.
It might have worked better. No, I take that. They did such a good job on this, but there is something in the eyes of a three-dimensional animated character when you are bringing it over to live action. Now, Grand Moff Tarkin looked good, but there's two problems that I had with Grand Moff Tarkin. One, he was too tall. He was way too tall. He had to be 6 or 8 inches taller than he should have been.
Wow.
Because when we go to watch Episode 4, Star Wars, the original Star Wars, the really, really super good one, look at him standing next to Darth Vader and him standing next to other commanders. Not that tall. And
so I wonder why they screwed that up.
He's way over Krennic. And I think it was just somebody wanting to make him more imposing. And I think that kind of backfired for me because I know that he wasn't a really huge guy. Because when he stood next to Christopher Lee in all the movies, he was always much smaller than Christopher Lee. He was always like, that angle, which is cool. But that kind of bothered me. The eyes bother me. Other than that, Great.
One of the things I'm going to say about that, we here on this podcast have done several movies that, believe it or not, have had Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing in it together. And here we go again with Star Wars. Yeah. And I'm just saying.
I remember first seeing Christopher Lee, Christopher Lee when he showed up as Dooku. I just started laughing like, oh my God, that's great. And I remember like doing the elbow to the wife, and she hates sitting next to me in movies because I'm always elbowing her. Like, oh, this is great. She's like, stop elbowing me. I got a bruise. But she's like, what? I was like, it's Christopher Lee. She goes, yeah, I know. I said, it's Peter Cushing. They're the vampire. That's the vampire. He's always being hunted by the... And she's like, what? And then it dawned on her what I was trying to say because I was so excited that Christopher Lee in the Star Wars movie. She's like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. I said, it's just like a complete circle there for me.
Man. It definitely is. Definitely is. Forrest Whitaker.
CGI worked for me, but yeah. Forrest Whitaker.
Saw Gerrera.
Not going to be bad. I mean, he's a good actor. What can
he
you
is.
say?
He is. Riz Ahmed was Bodhi Rook, the pilot. I'm sorry, we'll back up.
I got to back up real quick on Saw Gerrera. Talk about a useless death.
I'll agree with that.
I'm not buying. The character's motivation to just stand there and let the mountain fall down on top of him was very weak for me, because he had to count on Jyn Erso to go and restart the rebellion or whatever he was yelling to her whenever she's running out. And I'm like, well, why don't you just go with her? You basically saved this girl's life 100 times. You were trying to keep her out of this. Now she's back in it. She has no idea who to love, who to trust, and I'm just like, yeah, you could have went with her. You
could have. I want to talk about that. That's a good point. I think for story-wise, he'd have been in the way. I think he would have been in the way. We needed Jyn to come into her own and take charge and make the decisions that ultimately led to their successful mission. I don't know if she could have done that with Saw.
Let me ask you. Well, again, if you're good, in my opinion, Cassian should have been killed off halfway through the movie. You could have killed off Saw and Cassian at the same time, saving Jyn, and that would have helped her come into her own.
There you go.
But that's me. That's also with me looking at this with absolute hindsight and loving the story.
Yeah.
This is just one of those moments that kind of sticks out like with a thumb in my eye going, this shouldn't be, poking me like, hey, stop it. Stop poking me in the eye with that.
I thought Saw did, and I think it's only because I don't know his backstory. And I know if I'd watched the Clone Wars, I would see all of that. Yeah,
he's a cartoon. He's in the cartoon.
And I'm going to do it. I'm going to watch him.
Evidently, he and Obi-Wan know each other, I think, or Anakin knows him. Somehow he's like in that. I think it's Anakin. I think Anakin helps train him a little bit in the Jedi, maybe.
Interesting.
Somehow he's mixed up with Anakin and Obi-Wan. I know that, but that's all I know.
Yeah.
And because they talked about him breathing in his apparatus. Right. How it sounds a little bit like Darth Vader when he puts the mask over his face and inhales, and you can hear that.
I know, that was cool.
That's kind of neat.
That's kind of neat.
That's all that I know, and it's very little.
Yeah. And I think if we would have had more backstory with Saul, we might have understood his motivation to say, "Fuck it, I'm done." But it didn't convince me. I'm with you on that, and I didn't think of that till you said that. It's like, yeah, that was pretty fucking weak.
But that again, that's me looking at this after the fact and going, what would have I tried to see what we could fix? And being in it, I may not have seen the problem with killing him off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like being in there and doing it and having the blinders on, I may not have even noticed until I was sitting in the theater with everybody going, why the hell did I kill that guy off?
Yeah. One of the things about Saw, he's not a good guy.
Nah, he's done a lot of nasty stuff.
He's still nasty, and they make a point to show he is not a nice guy. Yes, he saved Jyn, but he also abandoned her again. What they did to the pilot was unspeakable.
But he abandoned her for a reason. He was trying to save her.
I know, he had a reason. He
says, that there are too many people who are finding out who you were.
Yeah.
I couldn't put you at risk.
Yes, those reasons are great. They sound fucking awesome, but I guarantee you Jyn didn't give two fucks about that.
Right.
So, and nor would I. So, yes, that's great. You just rationalized, being an asshole. All right.
Don't we do that every day, though?
We do. We absolutely do. But what I was getting at is, what he did to the pilot, which was
Right.
Bodhi, who was played by Riz Ahmed. They make a comment by using this creature, they're going to get the truth. And so that's really
Right.
cool. But the byproduct is it's going to basically fuck their head up.
Yeah.
Boy, he really didn't suffer too much, did he?
No. I
For
was
a few
kind of shocked.
seconds.
Yeah. I have a headache. I don't know who I
Yeah,
am. Hey, you're
they
the pilot.
let that go.
Yeah, I'm the pilot.
Yeah, now he's all of a sudden got everything. He's with it. He's going. He's a good character. He's a good character, but that was kind of weird.
That character. I did like that character. And he's the character that out of all of them, I would have thought I wouldn't have liked as much as I did. But you're kind of in it with him. You're kind of like, oh, that guy didn't count on any of this. He just wanted to drop off the thing and take off and say, I helped the rebellion and now I'm gone. But he got dropped into it deep.
And it couldn't have succeeded without him.
Yeah,
in many ways.
Absolutely.
So with his character, he's given the message from Galen Erso, Jen's dad, who is building the Death Star's weapon. Pretty cool. But he is able to convince Bodhi to fly to Saw and get a message out that there's a way to stop this.
Yeah, there's a weakness
there's a weakness. So cool. This is really cool about this because when we get to episode 4, and this is one of the critiques that a lot of people always had. Well, who the fuck built that thing? Why has it got such a how? Now you find out how.
Yeah, now you know how all that fell into place.
Now you know why it was easy to destroy. Which brings us to Mads Mikkelsen, excellent fucking actor as Galen Erso. I got nothing to say other than I love this guy in anything he's in.
He did a movie called. Was it White or Winter? It was on Netflix where he's an assassin.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it, but I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
That was a really good movie. But the way it ended, they ended it like it was going to be a sequel to it, and I don't know that they ever came up with a sequel. I won't give it away to anybody. But if you get a chance to watch it, there are parts of it that I'm like, kind of predictable. Yeah. But just to watch him be badass is well worth the watch because there's a couple of scenes in it where he just, he's going to take out like a room full of bad guys. And he's a bad guy himself, but he's been trying to retire. But he's like, you just know he's having a bad day and he's not above taking it out on everybody in the room. Let me put it that way. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just
that's fine.
Mads Mikkelsen is just such a good actor.
He is. And this character is actually really good. When you look and you see the position that he's put in, they do this through flashbacks and dreams from Jen and visions that she's had or memories. Right. Yeah. And you see his love for his daughter and his family. And he is put in a position where in order to save them and keep them alive, he's got to build this fucking weapon. And he has a conscience. So he builds a failsafe or a way to destroy it and hides it in a way that it can't be found.
He drags out the building of the super weapon as long as he possibly can.
Yeah.
You know?
He really was part of the rebellion, but he had no choice. He was not a bad guy, and I hated to see him die right when Jen finally got to him. First time seeing him in probably 19 years.
Right there, that's where Cassian should have gotten bought. That's where he should have bought it. He should have seen her climb. This is how I would have maybe fixed it a little bit. In my own head, mind you, I'm not the person who's making all these movies, but this is my opinion. Cassian's, getting ready to pop the dad. He sees Jen, and maybe stormtroopers start shooting at her. She starts shooting back, and he just starts popping stormtroopers to save Jen. Because he's like, well, I'm here to kill her dad. I'm not here to kill her. And somehow, I don't know, maybe he's on the platform with her, and they start popping. And
or he could have just shot Krennic and been done with it.
Yeah. So, why do that? Why
do something that makes fucking sense? I'm going to kill this guy who I know has got us a message. He's probably
instead of
good.
an admiral or whatever Krennic was, like one of the head scientists.
Oh, he's a big guy. He got a little too big for his britches when he got to meet old Anakin.
Yeah.
Now let's go to that real quick.
Annie, can you hear me, Annie?
Annie, okay. Were they on Mustafar?
Yes. Yeah,
That's what I figured.
From what I understand, that's supposed to be Mustafar.
Yeah, they never said. It's like, I didn't see Mufalata pop up, so I guess it's Mustafar. Yeah.
Jesus. He's supposed to have built, from what I understand, he built that tower in remembrance of Padme. That's what I've heard. That's what somebody was telling me. And
when I think,
so go ahead.
When I would think of my wife that I had loved and was
Mm-hmm.
going to have kids with, I think of the place where I was cut in half.
Yeah. And the place where I killed her.
Yeah, where I basically killed her. I would be more in thinking of her home world. But
he probably blew up the home world. Let's be honest.
He probably did. So we'll get there. So,
but kind of make in a weird way, in a weird Darth Vader dark side way that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that shows that he still had the good that Luke caught on to, maybe.
Interesting.
Or I'm making this up to make it sound good in my own.
I don't know. It was cool to see him. It really was.
Like
well
done. He does the dad joke whenever Krennic's like, "Oh, you will tell the Emperor," and he says, "Don't choke on your aspirations." He's like doing the choke move as he turns around. I'm like, what a dad joke!
Yeah,
what a freaking great dad joke with a forced choke.
Yeah. Which brings us to speaking of home worlds, Jimmy Smits as Bail Organa. Really. Too small of a role. I want to see more with Jimmy, and I want a young Leia. Why can't we get a Leia series? I mean,
why not?
Might as well. But he's heading back to Alderaan. Jimmy, that's a mistake. I'm just saying, don't go to Alderaan.
Don't go to Alderaan. Well, the funny thing is, like, they never really. I mean, as far as I know, like, other than in the cartoons, they go after like Organa a little bit, and they talk more about him. But in the books, not so much that I'm aware of. Nothing that I can ever remember. I mean, they give you like the basic, he was, her stepfather or adopted father or whatever. Yeah. And that's really about it. And he was a senator, or he was their king. He was because he was like their king. And then they try to fix like her being a princess and him being a king. Like, oh no, that was all elected. And it's like, no, that's not how kings work. That's not how queens work. That's not how princesses. But they tried to work it in reverse. Like, oh no, these are all elected. And
they kind of did that with Padme.
Queen Amidala. Yeah.
And it's like, why is this an elected position? This is weird.
Yeah, and that's not a queen. That's not what they do.
No, that's not a queen. That's a prime minister.
I think they were trying to fix a lot of the bad taste that queens and kings have given people, over the years. But I'm like, why didn't you just leave her a princess? Like, leave it alone. There's no reason to have changed that, in my opinion. But that's another story. But
exactly.
I always wanted to see more of Organa. Like, the minute he shows up in the first 3 episodes, I'm like, ooh, Jimmy Smits, great. I like this guy. He's going to be good. Where'd he go?
And the same thing happens here. Oh, where'd he go?
Yeah. It's like, there he is again. Yeah. Hey, he's leaving again. Jimmy, come back.
In this particular movie, he makes some comments that shows he knows about Obi-Wan.
Right.
Knows where he's at.
Well, yeah, he was there.
Yeah. So I thought it was, I thought it was cool that we're already referencing going into the next movie.
He definitely knows who Princess Leia is. He definitely knows who Luke Skywalker is.
Yeah.
He definitely knows who Obi-Wan is, and he knows where they're at.
Yeah.
He knows
where but he makes a reference that they're, so I thought that was cool, a little call out to what's to come.
Right.
Alistair Petrie, General Draven.
Right. Draven was the guy who gave the kill order to Cassian.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a jerk.
Kind of a necessary character for that.
Yeah, but he was kind of a jerk too, because you're like,
you would expect that.
Instead of bringing back the scientist that knows how to destroy this thing, or let's say
just
he
kill
really,
him.
let's just say that what's his name, Jyn Erso's dad is actually the bad guy that you think he is. But you have a chance to capture him and bring him back and question him.
Maybe you should.
No, kill him. Wait, what? What? I should just bring him back and we can question him. We can torture him and get info. No, kill him. No, we can. No, kill him. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. So moving on. Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma.
Amazing. Absolutely, to me, absolutely fucking amazing that they got a woman that looked so much like the original woman who played Mon Mothma,
No, right.
and not related.
Isn't that crazy?
She's not
because
related.
when she came on the screen, it's like my jaw's on the floor. It's like, how? Wait.
I initially thought maybe they de-aged her.
Yes. No.
I'm looking and looking and like, no, that's not de-aged. That's an actual actress. And then I was like, it's got to be her daughter. That's got to be that woman's daughter or granddaughter. Something. They're related. No relation. Just dumbfounding that this woman looks so much like the original Mon Mothma to me. Just absolutely dumbfounding.
Yeah.
Terrific casting and terrific acting, because there's a point where the guy comes running out and he says, Senator, Senator, and he's telling her that they're on the planet, on the records planet for the Empire.
Yeah.
And the attack's going on, and she asks, well, where's Admiral so-and-so? Well, he's going to attack it. And she just looks over at Jimmy Smits and just gives him a smile. It's not a full smile, but she grins like,
yeah, it's like a knowing.
This is like, we needed this. This is the kick in the ass for all these people who are going to try and run. You can't run now. The Empire doesn't give a crap at this point because you've just attacked one of their major bases. Like they said, we can either all die together or stand together or all die alone. And she's just shaking her head like, yeah, we're in it. This is it. We're on our way.
That is a great example of politicians, bureaucracy, this major threat right there. And while some are on board, others are like, no, I don't think so. It's like,
we should vote on it. What? No.
Yeah.
Does it sound familiar, folks, for the last 3 years? Sound familiar?
Shit, for the last 20, 30, 40,
Western allies?
The age of our country, politicians have been weasels, spineless bastards.
Especially when they want to be like a lifetime appointee. It's like, no. But they took a lot out of, I think whoever was writing this was taking a lot out of reality. And again, you and I have talked about this, like slapping somebody in the face and shaking him and going, this is my opinion. They did a good job at wrapping it around Star Wars without it being the guy from Drinking the Hood in South Central.
Message.
Message. They did a good job. The writers did a good job on this.
That message of the ineptitude of politicians is universal. I think anybody in any country can relate to this shit. Anybody in any big business, anything where any of that is involved, this is exactly what you got. And you're right, it was good. I don't know if it was necessarily a targeted message, but
I don't think it was a targeted message, but I do think it was like you said, something everybody could look at.
Yeah, definitely,
that's my government. Yep, that's the guy that's my local town. That's the mayor in the city council. All of them.
That's my CEO.
Yeah, exactly. There's a CEO. Yeah. Do you want to go down the rest of this list?
It's a pretty long one. I will just bring up one more. Was Ben Daniels as General Merrick. I first recognized Ben in the TV show.
Pilot.
Yeah, he was a pilot. He was a main character in the Exorcist TV show as a priest.
Really?
If you get a chance to watch the Exorcist TV show, it is amazing, and it ties directly into the first movie. It is an offshoot of the movie and the universe of The Exorcist. And he plays a really great role in both seasons of it.
I wouldn't have recognized him if he came up and smacked me in the head, because that little headshot there, that little
it's
shot on my phone, doesn't do him justice. But here's a nice little bit of info that I'm not sure if anybody or everybody realizes. Did you catch all of the Red 2, Watch Out for the Gunners, and all the pilots? Yeah. Those are all from the Star Wars. But they also took a lot of footage out of Jedi. Cockpit footage out of Jedi and out of Empire, I think, and put it in this for stuff that was never shown. Like a lot of the pilots, the female pilots especially, I think were mostly taken out of Jedi.
Oh, wow.
And put in here so that, you got the female pilots flying around. And they also dropped those same guys in um, The Force Awakens, I think, whenever they're attacking. A lot of
Wow.
those same moments are taken out from other
That's
pilots
really
that were cut
cool.
from other movies. And I was
That's
like,
really
think
cool.
30 years later, you're making your screen debut. That is fucking awesome. I thought that was a nice tip of the hat for all those actors and actresses that were like, I'm in Star Wars. Where's my Star Wars piece? Now they're like in Star Wars for real, up on this big screen.
Well, we can't have a Star Wars movie without having Anthony Daniels as C-3PO
Right,
again, in
right,
every one of them. What I'm seeing here is there were two people playing Darth Vader. Of course, the voice of James Earl Jones,
right,
um,
right.
the iconic Vader speak. I find that interesting that it's not until we do the Obi-Wan series coming up that Hayden Christensen gets to reprise Anakin. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm surprised they didn't call him for this.
You know what? Probably didn't dawn on them. We need a big guy in a costume. Hayden
Yeah.
Christensen is about as big as me.
Yeah, but movie magic.
Not a big
Movie
guy.
magic.
I mean, they're going to put him in this Darth Vader costume. Everybody's going to look at him and go, Darth, you're
Aren't you a little short for a Darth?
a Darth Sith Lord? I mean,
Another one with CGI that actually worked really well was Leia.
yeah, that worked pretty good.
Ingvild
But in the eyes,
Delilah.
again, the eyes kind of lose it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was done really well.
Yeah.
I love here's a pattern that I see, at least in some of these movies, not all of them, but I love the droids. I
Yeah.
absolutely, after watching Solo and L3 and I always love C3PO, R2, and even BB8. They all have such.
I like BB-8.
Yeah, BB-8's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
You like something about those movies. All right.
I do. No, I do like that. I don't. Well, we'll get to that one. We'll get to that one. The woman who played Lyra Urso,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Valine Kane, she looked so much like let me hold on. I'm rolling down to her name so I don't screw up her name. Felicity Jones. Like she could have been her mother. And I want to find out what the little girl's name was that played Felicity Jones's character.
Oh, I had it pulled up here.
Honest to God, I would have thought that was her sister in real
Bo
life.
Gadsden.
Bo Gadsden played young Jin.
Yeah.
I would have bet money before reading that was.
And there's also a Dolly Gadsden,
sister.
which her younger sister apparently played a younger Jin. So there were three Jins. That's right, because there was showing a little older, and yeah.
But it's interesting that they got people who look so much like them with just a little overbite, and they're awfully adorable.
Isn't it cool? Let me go completely off the rails on that. It always amazes me is when they can cast somebody who you look at and you say, "Oh my God, that really could be their daughter or that could be their brother."
Yeah.
I'll just share a quick story. I went to Atlanta one day for an audition for a TV show on Fox, and it was a really big deal. And I was, of course, nervous as fuck because there were big wigs sitting at a fucking table. And I'm looking around the waiting room as we're waiting to have our names called.
Uh-huh.
I'm in that room with about 8 other men. We all look alike. I'm not shitting you.
And you're all hoping, I hope nobody in this room committed a crime because we're all going downtown.
We all look like we could have been brothers. It was fucking nuts. And it's like,
is that crazy?
And that's what they do. It's like they find a look and they go and they find it. And it's amazing how close people can look to each other. Yeah. But when I looked around there, I said, fuck, who knows if I'll get this? Well, I didn't, but because I'm sitting here right now. But anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's okay.
Yeah, but you're having more fun with me, right?
I am actually. Yeah, actually I am. I don't think that show's on the air anymore, it was a small part, but still, I would have taken it.
Why not?
So,
but that's kind of interesting. I honestly, I would have bet money that girl was related to her somehow. Honestly, because she looks so much like her. I was like, that's got to be her sister. There's no way you found a kid. But then again, there's no way you found a Mon Mothma, and yet there she stood. She's no relation at all.
They do. It's amazing.
Confounding.
You know what you want, you can find it. When it comes to actors, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I do have
a few notes that I want.
Let's hear your notes.
Go over. John Knoll worked for Star Wars for a while, Lucasfilms, and he's the guy who came up with the original idea for this. Was what about the people who got the plans? And he said he would throw this idea out, and him and his friends would just kind of talk about it. And somebody finally said, "You need to write this down. You need to write this down. You need to write this down." So he got a couple of writers, and there's like 5 writers.
Oh wow!
On the damn thing, and the writing credits go to Chris Waits, Weitz. Waits. I'm going to pronounce it Waits. Tony Gilroy, who has a very big part of saving this movie. John Knoll, who was a story guy, Gary Whitta, and it was all based on George Lucas's stuff.
Right.
But when they were putting this movie together, evidently they were having trouble getting it to be very cohesive. Like, that's why whenever they shot the trailer and released it, everybody's like, well, none of this was in the movie. Because Gilroy had to come in from the outside, and I guess they started reshooting a lot of stuff. But, the initial tag together type scenes, like, well, this happened, so we have to show them going here.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they're there now, kind of stuff. And Gilroy, being the outsider, started saying, okay, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. But the original director,
Gareth Edwards.
Is that his name? Gareth Edwards? I think
so.
Right. Yeah. He came up with the Darth Vader thing at the end. He was the guy who came up with, let's do Darth Vader. And Gilroy was like, perfect. That sounds good. So they did the Darth Vader thing, and that worked perfectly. That to me was like, that really ties it in to episode 4. But Gilroy was enough out of the main storytelling, which is what we were talking about. Like, you're so close into something, you don't see, maybe this character should be not killed in the mountain falling on top of him. Maybe he should die, bring him with you for a little while, get to know him a little bit more, and then kill him. And I think killing Cassian at that point, let's say on the deck where she's saving her father, I think it would have brought the whole crowd into going, oh shit, main characters are going to die in this. How many more are going to die? Because I knew where this movie was going.
Almost everybody.
Yeah, I knew where this movie was going. I mean, it read like a Kurosawa flick all the way through. And I was like, shit, this is a samurai flick. Everybody's going to die in this one.
Yeah.
And Kat and I were like watching at the movie, and we're like, there's no way. They're not going to kill it. They're going to kill everybody. They're not going to kill. Donnie Yen gets killed. You're like, fuck, they're going to kill everybody. They killed off Donnie Yen. They're killing everybody. Everybody's dying in this one.
Yeah. So if you hadn't watched this, everybody dies.
There was no way to get everybody off that planet. I mean, really, in reality, you were not going to get off that planet if you were a rebel.
So let's go to that point.
An Imperial guy, you weren't going to get off that planet.
Yeah.
Let's get.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to go through here, and then
I'm sorry. You did have some notes. I don't know where I was thinking.
Jyn Erso's character was played by Felicity Jones, and the reason I think she did such a good job is she was a fan of Star Wars. And in the extras that I'm watching, she talks about she would do research on Wikipedia to make sure she understood the universe and where her story was fitting in that universe and how everything put together. So in her head, when she went on stage or went on to set, she kind of knew, oh, I'm this person nobody knows about because I die here. Got it. Now I can go do this. And she would really study. And there was a couple other people that talked about looking up characters and doing stuff and were part of that. But she got excited. She's like, I'm on Wikipedia every night looking at stuff, trying to figure out what's going on, reading and getting the history. And I thought that was pretty cool. Gareth Edwards and Tony Gilroy, we just talked about. This was the first of the standalone Star Wars movies.
Yes.
And then Solo, and then everybody panicked because Solo didn't make $100 billion.
Yeah.
And I think undeservedly got panned by people who hadn't seen it yet and wanted, I guess, to see Harrison Ford. I don't know. But there's no way Harrison Ford could have played this part.
No. And as we talked in our last podcast, it's well cast. It's, yeah.
Yeah, it was well done.
I know people who don't like the movie, and that's cool, but I think it's a good movie. Yeah.
I think you have to go to Solo knowing that it's a heist flick and just accept it. It's Han Solo in a heist flick.
It's
That's it.
Han Solo's life. I mean,
Yeah, that's what he did. He wasn't always hanging out with Jedi. Doug Chiang was the designer, and
Mhm.
he was a longtime Lucasfilm designer. I don't know if he still is working with Lucasfilm, with the crazy KK lady taking over, but we'll find out eventually. Um, my second biggest problem with this whole movie is in the very beginning. Why didn't Krennic just land on the grass?
Dude, I'm going to park a quarter mile away from the house, and I'm going to slow walk it.
And give you all ample time to hide or run away.
My first thought as well. What the fuck, dude? You could have got a little closer. Yeah.
No. We're going to park way out here. But Admiral
Don't
Krennic,
want to get any dents in it.
He's like,
No
Admiral
dings.
Krennic, I can park this right in their backyard. No. I look really cool. There's a nice breeze. My cloak will flow.
It'll be, yeah. That's
It'll
some
be really
bullshit
cool.
right there.
Jin and K2, I think, are two of my favorite characters next to Donny and the other guy.
Let me say something about that. It just popped into my head. We talk a lot about chemistry between actors. Here you have a human actor, basically two human actors, but she's acting against a robot.
Right.
And their chemistry is fucking awesome. It's just you got that vibe, and it's like, I bet you in real life, her and Alan are really
good.
Get along well.
Yeah, so. that I thought was really, really cool. I liked the addition of Tarkin in this, like we talked about a little bit. Yeah. The eyes.
I'm glad he was there. I think that was a really cool surprise. It's off-putting to me.
There is something that Donnie Yen, I think it's Donnie Yen's character says, and it's almost like he's seeing the Death Star. Like, I think he's having a vision of the Death Star. He says something to the effect of, the strongest stars have hearts of kyber crystal.
He does say that.
He says that to her, and I think that's when she's in the city and she's got the little thing. And
yes.
I think he's having a glimpse to the Death Star being the Death Star. That's what I think. But
that's why we need more of that character.
It's the first time I heard that line. Honest to God, I've seen this movie probably 4 times. It's probably about the 5th time I've watched it because I really do enjoy it. First time I actually heard that line, and I was like, "Oh, crap!" He knows that he's kind of like a light Jedi light, for lack of
and would have probably been a full Jedi had the temple not been destroyed. If we're assuming that's what happened.
And I already said that Saw's death made no sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, not in that way. But let's pick up.
Yeah, we've got a few minutes left on today's podcast, and we're going to talk about the end at the end here. With this ending, you and I have talked about this shit almost every podcast because it's annoying. It's annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
Because Cassian's still alive, and for some reason they decided he would have to save him. And I mentioned that to Janine last night. She's like, well, she didn't have a gun. And I said, well, if I was a writer, she'd have had a gun.
Yeah, she had the gun right up until that thing fell. I mean, she had it in her pocket at one point.
Yeah.
And then suddenly she doesn't have the gun. I'm like, wait a minute, how did she lose the gun? She had it in her holster. But
I'd have made sure she had that gun and she could have handled her business. She did not need him, especially because you're right. They would not have been. Yes, he would have tried to save her, but where it leads at the end to the sunset, not a sunset. That's actually an explosion that looks like the sunset.
It's like the sun setting. Well, it's setting for them.
It's setting
their
for
sunset.
It is their sunset. And here's what the first couple times I saw this, I looked at this as, why is there this weird ass romance? This would not fucking happen. And last night I saw it in a different way as more of a human thing. You've got two humans, last people on Earth, or on their, and they know they're about to die. They might hug each other.
Right.
They might, you might have that moment. I don't know. But I think the writing was to make it a romance. But I'm going to choose to think it was just a human thing so I don't get pissed off.
my thing with that is he shouldn't have even been there. When they're getting the data tape, he's about 2 stories high. Would you say about 2 stories high? Yeah. He's shooting at Krennic and some stormtroopers, He winds up getting shot, falls. He falls a good 10 feet.
Lands on his back on a beam.
On his back on a beam. Then he slides off the beam. He hits another beam. I think he hits his back again on another beam. And then he falls the rest of the way to the ground, probably another 10 or 15 feet. Bang. He's broken his back at least twice in probably 20 different places. And he's landed on his fucking head from a 2-story fall.
Yeah.
Let's stop there for just a second. Jen makes it out to wherever she's going. She's running off to the top of the thing outside. She's got her data tape. She's trying to launch the thing and to make it boop, 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 boop into space. She has to run off to this. Why? I want to know why is the damn thing to aim the radar disc
out on a little parapet.
On a precipice.
Yeah.
Kat brought that up yesterday. She says, why is that out there? I was like, I don't know.
And she had to have her Laura Croft moment of needling her way through like Tomb Raider. And it's like, this is some bullshit. I do have to say something real quick about the data. I know they've got spaceships. Their technologies is so advanced. Do you know how much you can put on a 128 gig SD card? Why do I need a skyscraper full of hard disk? What the fuck?
It's a lot of info. But you know what? They probably had all the everything is there from the Empire. Everything is
everything with technology gets smaller. What else
is on that disc though that she launched?
Yeah, I know, but I think it's one of those things where, just like the precipice of putting that, we have to up the stakes, and it's like
yeah,
and that's what it was done for, and it was very obvious. It's the same as parking your fucking ship a mile away so you look good with your cloak blowing.
Yeah, exactly. That didn't make any sense. But anyway, the thing gets shot. She falls. She has to climb up, and by the time she gets back up to where she's going to hit whatever button she's going to hit, Krennic comes out of the elevator. Why he's in an elevator, trying to figure out how he knew right where she was going, I don't know. But anyway, he gets up there. He's got the gun. He doesn't know who she is yet. He just knows it's this fucking person causing him all kinds of trouble. And she tells him, I'm Jen Urso, and I'm so and so's daughter, and I hate you. And he's gonna kill her. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is gonna be great. Like when I was in the theater, I'm like, she's gonna fucking kill this guy. This is gonna be fantastic. Even if she doesn't have a weapon, he would have let her.
We need to fight.
He would have let her get close enough, thinking he was gonna kick her ass. And you've already proven that she can use those clubs and shit.
Yeah. That
would have been perfect to have her beat that man to death. I know it sounds cruel, but this man murdered her dad in front of her. She would have beat that guy to death. They should have given her that moment. For all the stuff that I sit there and say, woman power movies really bother me to an extent when they're done very poorly. This movie was like the ultimate in woman power. This woman, she came from being a little kid almost.
And then they fucked it up.
Growing up to being this woman that really just not only took charge of her life, but she basically started the rebellion. Let's face it. This woman kicked the rebellion in the ass when it needed it to get going. Then a man comes to rescue her. And I'm like, wait, I hate this guy anyway.
Yeah,
I already hate this guy. Why are you having a guy who died at least 3 times in one fall?
Yes.
Why? And where did he get the gun from?
Thank you.
He dropped that thing, and it wasn't laying next to him. What did he do? Holster it before he hit the... Anyway, that to me ruined this movie. I couldn't watch this movie again, I think, for the second time until probably about 6 months. I had waited 6 months before I could watch it again, because that ending ruined it for me. I was like,
I understand that.
I hate that.
I understand that. It is a flaw in this movie, and that's pretty much the only thing. I mean, I nitpick the shit out of it, but that is one of the biggest problems, I think.
My 2 big problems are Cassian not dying and saving, then turning around and saving Jen when she didn't need to be saved. No. This was a woman who was more than capable of saving herself after everything she's been through. You took that away from her. The writers, the director, Kathleen Kennedy, you took that away, Power Girl. You took it away from a woman who should have been allowed to kill the bad guy. And that's my opinion. And don't park your ship a quarter,
Right.
2/4 miles, half mile away to walk.
So before we close for the day, we have to talk about the most crucial part of this movie, the baddest ass scene of Darth Vader showing up, and just the fear on the soldiers' faces when they realize it's so cool. It's almost like there's some black smoke, and you hear the lightsaber, and it comes on. The smoke clears, and it's like, oh fuck! I mean, I get chills every time I watch that fucking scene. It is so fucking cool.
Such a good scene.
Oh my god! And he's just sitting there.
Down. They're all crouched down. The guy just screams fire, and they just start blasting. And he's deflecting. He's deflecting the beams. And then at one point, I think he actually grabs one and throws it back at the guy.
Yeah, and he's actually lifting people up and just tossing them. It's just like badass.
He's throwing them up like over his shoulder without touching them. And oh man, what a good scene! It just shows how badass Darth Vader is.
Well, and that's what we needed. You always knew that Darth was a badass.
Yeah.
But it was never really shown. So to finally get to see why people were so afraid of what Anakin had become, you see it there. It's like, holy shit.
He was really good in that. That was a nice scene for him just walking down that hallway, just slaughtering people. I mean,
that scene alone is worth the price of admission. Bottom line.
It's horrible sounding. I really enjoyed Darth Vader slaughtering people, but it was a good scene. Like you said, it shows how badass this guy was.
It does, and it takes us right directly into episode 4. It's rare that you get to see a sequel butt up chronologically. We're talking seconds or minutes away.
Yeah, because that Corellian Corvette gets dropped out of the belly of the big ship they're in. And the Corellian Corvette is the ship that Princess Leia is in with all the secret plans, rushing off to Tatooine. It's like, holy crap. And
we know what happens next.
Yeah, such a good. I remember coming out of the theater and me and Kat were like, that was brilliant. We came home and watched Star Wars like after we got home. We're like, pop the Star Wars in because that's cool.
I watched the trailer again last night after watching this. It's like, I know what we're watching next Tuesday.
Yeah, it's so good.
Cannot wait.
That for if nothing else, Edwards came up with that idea. What a brilliant idea!
It's great. It's
tie the two movies together.
Great. So it still gives me chills. I can watch it. It's like, I'm just like a little kid.
Because it's great. Because it's dark, like you said. You see the smoke kind of coming out of the darkness, and then you hear the breath,
and then the lightsaber,
then the lightsaber, and you're like, oh, these guys are so dead. You already know how badass this is going to be. And it was. It delivers fully.
Yeah.
Fully
so
Darth
well
Vader
done.
delivery. Doom. Yeah. So me, myself, I can't recommend this movie enough. Yeah. I mean, the little things, are petty. I didn't even fill up an entire page. See, folks, for anybody watching, this is
very awesome
page of my notes. I usually take pages. But yeah, I enjoyed this.
Fucking love it. I'll give my opinion. I highly recommend it. It is one of my favorite Star Wars movies, hands down. I can't really land on a favorite, but this one is up there. I love this fucking movie. Yeah.
Yeah. This is, I think if you're going to watch episode 1, you almost have to watch this one first. If you're going to watch, let's say I'm just going to watch.
You mean
Star
episode
Wars
4?
Jedi. Go watch this before you watch Star Wars Jedi, because it really feeds into this. Yeah. I remember when they first started talking about this movie. I was like, are they going to have Bothans in it?
Yeah.
And my buddy Pat, the guy that we went to go see the movies with, he was like, not that Death Star dummy, the other one. I was like, the first one. Oh, okay.
See, I thought the same thing too, because so many years. Okay. So next week we are going into episode 4. So
Star Wars,
please, A New Hope, because rebellions are built on hope. Thank you, Jen Erso.
Jen Erso, yep.
Yeah.
And Rogue One.
So I'd like to thank you all for joining us for our Star Wars trip. We are about halfway through, so
amazing.
Come back next week and chat with us. Drop us a line. Until then, may the Force be with you.
And with you.